Uh, O Shariputra, says the speaker, form is no other than shunyata. Shunyata is no other than form. I think there's no reason for us not to interpret shunyata as nature. If you think of it this way, form is nature. Nature is form. In other words, that there is nothing that we can set apart or aside from nature. It can't be done. Now, we can say that there's a being named Christine or Ellen or any of us or Clark, and we can assign that being to a certain value, and we can imagine in our minds that it has an existence separate from nature. It seems to have its own will. It seems to be able to make its own decisions. It seems to persist in its own follies. It tends to do all kinds of things that would fly in the face of what we would ordinarily think of as nature. But nevertheless, there's not one point at which it's discontinuous from nature. Air is flowing into the body constantly. Cells are being exchanged. Even the thoughts and ideas are electrical impulses generated by the battery of the body, which is sustained by nature and interpenetrated with all other forces surrounding us. Philippe has spoken often about sound, the fact that sound never quite goes away and it penetrates and interpenetrates. Our lives are like that too. We're like overlapping and intersecting sounds that join with one another. So this is what the sutra means when it says that sunyata is no other than form. Form is exactly sunyata. Shunyata is exactly form. Feeling, thought, volition, and consciousness are likewise like this. They're all nature. Everything we do, think, feel, see, touch, smell, all that we act, all of it is nature. It's as if you were to go down and scoop up that pail of water and pour it right back into the sea. It's in a state of continuous return. Actually, it's not even return. There is no departure, and so there is no return. We experience it as a return because we have this kind of a tide pool up here, right, that we call a human mind. It's like the prefrontal lobe of our prefrontal cortex is like a tide pool, right? That's exactly what happens. The water comes in and then it goes out, and there's this pool there for a period of time, maybe 70, 80, 90 years it lasts. And there are all kinds of things swimming in it and everything, and we have this illusion. They say, hey, look at me, I'm a big sea. Right? But in fact, not so. The sutra tells us that when we embrace that and acknowledge that our suffering diminishes and finally vanishes altogether. O Shariputra, remember, Dharma is fundamentally shunyata. So even the teachings of the Buddha are nature and nothing but nature. I have this habit, which, depending on where you stand on the where you stand on the issue, can be profoundly enlightening or profoundly annoying. I have this habit whenever I meet a theologian, and I run into them from time to time, of taking out a napkin and my felt tip pen and drawing a formula on it and sliding it across the table and asking them what they think. And they do one of two things. They either say, wow, you're absolutely right, I never thought of it that before, it's so simple. Or they get up and they walk away, try to get as far away from me as they can. And this is what I write on the napkin every time. I put a T over an E equals 1. It's a simple formula. T stands for the value of theology, or theology interpreted in the broadest possible sense. Human thought, basically. Okay, any human thought, idea, practice, ritual, belief, it goes on and on. Over E, which is the earth, the environment, or simply the planetary ecology. So T over E equals 1. What that means is that the value of our theological beliefs or ideas have to match up perfectly with the earth. If they don't, if the value of our theology is greater than the earth, if the value if we assign to human thought or human experience or human being is greater than the earth, then we're on a collision course with annihilation, because that's not sustainable at all. I mean, that is just a recipe for disaster. By the same token, if we say that T is less than E, that also is a recipe for extinction and disaster, because that means we're not equal to nature, we're less than. So we are precisely equal to nature, and provided that we maintain the balance between those two ideas, then we're on a path of union and sustainability and balance and happiness. And basically, if you had to boil the Heart Sutra down to even smaller than it is, it would basically be that formula, T over equals 1. That's the sort of formula at the heart of the Heart Sutra. That's what it's saying all along. So it goes on a bit about this. It says, because it wants to cover all the bases. O Shariputra, remember, Dharma is fundamentally shunyata. No birth, no death, nothing is defiled, nothing is pure, nothing can increase, nothing can decrease. Hence in shunyata, no form, no feeling, no thought, no volition, no consciousness, no eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, no seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, no world of sight, no world of consciousness, no ignorance, no end to ignorance, no old age and death, no end to old age and death. No suffering, no craving, no extinction, no path, no wisdom, no attainment. Indeed, there is nothing to be attained. And then there's this wonderful line that's really the heart of the Heart Sutra. Everybody always gets this idea because we love a puzzle, and we love language, and we love puns, and we love parallel construction. So when we read the sutra, almost everybody thinks that the point of the sutra is form is no other than shunyata, shunyata is no other than form. It's not at all true. That's really just a kind of an elaboration of one point which lies at the very heart of the sutra, and that's right here. Says, there's nothing to be attained. The bodhisattva relies on prajnaparamita with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, therefore no fear. That's really the climax of the sutra. That's the reason why when we get to that part of the sutra in a Zen monastery, we ring the bell. Oh, it says the bodhisattva. When you get to that point in a Zen monastery, you always ring the bell to announce that verse, because that's the core, the heart, the essence of the sutra. No hindrance. The actual Chinese word is walls. There's no walls in the mind. There are no compartments. There's no compartmentalization. There's no separation. There is no separate identity. There is no concealment, no holding back of anything. Everything is here and now and fully offered and fully received by human beings and the earth. It's a relationship of complete surrender. Now, if you want to condense it even further than this and make it very visceral and experiential, then it is the cycle of one breath, breathing in and breathing out, which is what we do in meditation, and it is also a process that we go through many times in a given day, in a given week, far more in a month or a year. And our entire lifetime is composed of nothing but the repetition of this simple two-part cycle. And it is a cycle within which, by definition, nothing can be held back, and everything must be offered. You can only take in as much air as you breathe out, and you can only breathe out as much air as you've taken in. And so when we speak of emptiness, we're talking about just this, the fact that we are continuously surrendering the breath that we were given the moment before and giving it back so that we can receive another, and that we are in this constant process of interaction, full and complete and wholehearted interaction with the earth at every moment. Now, you can look at it on other levels too. We eat food, we defecate it, okay, it returns to the earth. Everything we drink comes out too. We're constantly, our bodies are recycling machines. We eat and we are eaten. And this process is continuous, and it continues without interruption as long as we live. If it stops, we die, which simply means that the breath that was taken in one moment, forming the body, is given up and goes back to the earth. It's just a much longer, bigger version of the same thing that happens when we breathe in and we breathe out. So when the sutra says the bodhisattva relies on the earth, basically, this mother of all Buddhas, this prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, therefore no fear, means that there's acceptance, full and complete acceptance, and no resistance at all. No resistance. Just like a snowflake coming down. No resistance, or the rain, or a leaf falling. Far beyond upside-down views, at last, nirvana. Past, present, and future, all Buddhas, bodhisattvas rely on prajna paramita and therefore reach the most supreme enlightenment. Therefore, no prajna paramita is the greatest dharani, the brightest dharani, the highest dharani, the incomparable dharani. It completely clears all suffering. This is the truth, not a lie. So set forth the prajna paramita dharani, set forth this dharani and say, gate para sam gate bodhisvaha. Gate means gone, so it's gone. Gone. Gone beyond. Gone completely beyond. To the far shore, or to the enlightened mind. Svaha, all hail, or greeting. Now, this is the most puzzling part of the Heart Sutra, because it seems to suggest that there's this world and that world. There's this world of suffering, and there's a world free of suffering that lies beyond this world. And as long as we approach the mantra from the point of view of a modern mind, then that's the way it is, and that's the way it looks. But if you go back into the deep history of this mantra, which is very, very old, it's the oldest part of the sutra. It's older than, we don't know how much older than the sutra it is, but quite a lot older. Then we find that it is it's ancient. The ancient term to describe this mantra was womb of Buddhas. The womb of the Buddhas, or the mother of all Buddhas, the womb that gives forth all Buddhas. So that when we're talking about going beyond to the far shore, all hail, what we're really talking about is something like a spiritually supercharged form of Lama's breathing. Kate, kate, para, kate, para, sam, kate, bodhisattva. Kate, para, kate, para, sam, kate, bodhisattva. So the other shore is this shore. This is where we're born. We're born into this world. We're born from a world, that tide pool, back into the ocean. We're not born from the ocean into some, like paradisiac kind of, tide pool or something, sort of a imaginary heaven of our own creation or Pure Land. We're actually born from the prison, the walled prison of our own mind, into the real world, which is without any boundary at all, and is characterized by perfect freedom. We are born in, or birthed into that world by the mantra. Anyway, that's the green version of the Heart Sutra. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Gate, para, sam, gate, bodhisattva.